That was horrible.
Derek,
Yeah, what's
I'm
up?
sad.
Why?
Derek, I've got a problem.
Oh, goodness.
It's just a bummer. Isn't it? It sucks to be sad, you know? Do you want to hear?
Can I just say something really important first?
Yeah, okay.
Bummer. I hardly know her. I made it worse.
It's
Comedy makes it
no,
better.
It's funny. I'm crying from the laughter. No,
Okay, what's up?
I was hungry.
Yeah?
I was real hungry.
Get a
I
little
wanted a
snack?
sandwich. I
Get a
wanted a
little
snack, a little snacky. So I go into my pantry. I'm like, okay, I'll make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm like, okay, here we go. I got my bread, got the 2 slices of bread, and I reach forward and I go for the peanut butter. There's no peanut butter. There's no peanut butter. I was out of peanut butter. Okay.
No.
We still got jelly. We still got jelly. No jelly. No jelly either.
So
We're
you just had
out
a
of
couple
it.
bread?
So I improvised here.
Oh, I know exactly what you're
I
doing.
improvised here a little bit, and I was like, okay,
I
so
get the bit.
we don't have any peanut butter, we don't have any jelly. What can I make out of the sandwich? Well,
Did you have any blood?
no, I didn't have any blood. I'm all fresh out, actually. Count Trivia came and sucked me dry.
Oh.
Not in that way. Not in the way you're assuming.
I mean, it is the next episode after the last episode, so you
because
can make an
last
innuendo
episode
joke.
we were family friendly. This number, I'm not going to talk about Count Trivia.
Sucking
No,
you?
I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about that.
We can't just start.
We had a bunch of
Can't be
honey.
hot.
We had a bunch of honey. And so I made a honey sandwich, right? Made a honey sandwich, and I'm like, oh, you wanted another one too? I'll make 2 of these,
Yeah,
So I got
yeah,
2
yeah.
honey sandwiches, honey 2, if you will. But then I went to go, you know how I like my sandwiches. I like to cut the crusts off and
Yeah.
cut into little triangles.
yeah.
I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I was like, I'm just gonna put my my hand directly underneath the sandwich and just chop right into that,
That's
and just got a bunch of.
stupid.
I guess I had some blood left
You
over.
got blood and honey.
I got blood and
Together.
honey in my sandwich together.
2.
It's like blood and honey too. Like
That was good.
blood and honey. I shrunk the kids too.
That's something. I think there's a joke there. If you search really hard. The problem is,
Dig
oh, wait.
deep into your heart.
Here's our producer again.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's me, the producer.
Hey, producer. Sorry.
Here's the thing, and I know I sound like Science Jim in a baseball cap, but I'm not. I swear to God.
I can hear the baseball cap in your voice. Is that what his cap sounds like? I think a cap sounds like, hey, bada, 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 hey, bada.
Not this one.
Blood and honey too.
Not this one.
Anyway, my thing.
Yeah, sorry, producer. You're only ever in here when we're in trouble.
You've been contractually obligated to only make the same joke twice ever, and you've now made a Honey I Shrunk the Kids joke at least 20
I'm
times.
sorry. It's just I love Rick Moranis and his wonderful antics and his teeny children. Like, what do you want from me? I'm sorry.
I like that because I'm the host of a podcast.
Of a podcast. That's funny. I am also. We are hosts of a podcast.
Are we?
Yeah, because I'm Isaac.
And I'm
And you're who? Are you dude? Did you
I'm
get
Derek.
Honey I Shrunk to the Kids and
I
you can't
did,
talk?
yeah. Stop making that joke. He's gonna
Sorry,
come back in here.
sorry, producer. Go,
I'm
producer.
back and I'm wearing a cowboy hat.
Oh, look, this big slab of meat. I know you love raw meat. I'm going to throw it out the window. Here he goes. So I'm Isaac. He's Derek. And
Yeah.
that was horrible. That was horrible.
Horrible.
Yes. This
A
is our
podcast
podcast where we do our
movie.
best.
At movie where we record.
We do our best at
Chinese
reviewing
food.
the worst in horror media. One of these days, we have to get it right. I
One
don't know
of
if our
these
bit can be
days,
forever that we
Alice.
don't know how to start a show.
Or
We're
unless
good at this, guys.
unless we make it our thing forever.
Unless we just have to come up, it's like the Simpsons couch gag.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
what
yeah.
weird and funny antic are they going to get into to make it so they do not do good at
And
getting
then one day the bit will be that we do it perfect.
yes,
And that will be funny.
Yes, exactly. One day it'll just be completely. Have they ever had a couch bit gag like that where it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
nothing strange
Just
happens?
like normal.
They come home, sit on the couch, watch a TV. The end.
And there's so many episodes of The Simpsons that just happens every once in a while now.
It has to happen, right? I'm astounded at The Simpsons and how much content they can create.
dude.
Like, how do they do it? It's astounding to me.
Can I sidebar already?
Can you? Yeah, sidebar, please. We haven't even started. The time for sidebar is now.
I found something for you, and I specifically saved to this moment to tell you about it, and I don't really know why.
yeah.
There is a channel on YouTube called
Uh-huh.
like Sleep Time or something, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs. Just
Yeah, if you hear
viciously
the
running.
trampling going on in the room right now, there are 2 little corgis having a battle.
They are-
It's a friendly fight, but they are going at it.
for now.
It's
I
a-
mean, there
it's-
may be blood in.
It's a tornado. There
Don't
may
go
be
next to
bloody-
the honey jar.
No, please. Oh, goodness. No,
No
it's
blood,
good.
though.
My mama told me that when you have a wound in blood, you put honey in it and it gets better.
Is that
2.
You know? Oh my god. Anyway, my sidebar.
Your sidebar.
So
There's
I found a
YouTube
YouTube channel.
channel.
I can't remember what it's called. Give me like 30 seconds after this rant, and I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it takes entire seasons of TV shows, gets rid of the video, so it's legal for them to publish it.
Okay, so it's
and
just the audio then?
adds like rain effects for sleeping.
What?
So they have like a couple seasons of Bob's Burgers. They have The Simpsons. They have like Seinfeld. They have Family Guy.
Do they have ones that are like this TV show but in another room where it's like kind of muted? Because I feel like that would be really
that would be really effective. We should reach out to
calming
them.
about that.
We should reach out to them.
We should reach out to
Anyway,
them.
I tried it. I listened to one of the shows when I was falling asleep.
Well, what did you listen to?
I don't want to talk about it. And I had it was like
It was Rick and Morty. That's what it was.
No, it was Family Guy.
I knew it was good. That was my second guess.
Shut up. It was like season 21 or something. And there was no video, so I wasn't wasting my precious Wi-Fi. And so stupid. And
my Wi-Fi.
But anyway, the rain effects, I have some critiques. So if you're listening to this channel that
if you're checking in, you're tuning in.
Listen, the rain sounds kind of loud rain sounds. I enjoyed them being there, but it was like,
did it kind of overpower?
It was like Peter. I was like, okay, all right, calm down. I'm in a torrential downpour.
There's sometimes where like I go, it's like gentle rainfall, 24 hours, lovely like solemn meditation, and it's like a monsoon. It's like, what is happening? This lady flew by on her witch broom and her cat's behind her. There are sharks in this tornado. And there's blood and honey everywhere.
You're left.
There's blood and honey too. Okay, guys, should we start? Should we tell them what we're doing?
Oh yeah, you want to start recording?
Yeah.
Oh, what? We've been recording for 6 minutes?
No, we've already messed it up. We're so silly. We're dumb.
Little do they know, this is the 8th time we've started recording.
Oh, goodness, guys. It has been a journey to get here to tell you about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. That's right. They did not stop after the first one. They decided, you know what? This movie, that is what, at a 3% right now on Rotten Tomatoes? Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Pooh.
Oh, goodness. Are we going to do this? Is this going to be our running bit through the show?
We said it once. We can move on.
We are allowed one. Our producer is waving to us from out the side of the window. He says we can do one Pooh joke per show. So that is our one Pooh joke for the rest of this movie.
I just Googled Winnie the Pooh and it did nothing for me.
It did not. You didn't feel like childlike wonder and splendor because Winnie the Pooh is just full of jolly wonder and whimsy.
I hope I don't get murdered today. Oh bother! So if you go back 60 episodes to when we watched 60,
that's insane. We have
you hear that?
He's smacking my leg. He's smacking
that
his
hurts.
leg now.
I'm so sorry. If you go back 60 episodes, we watched Blood and Honey.
You said that like Pikachu. Episodes.
We're being stupid.
We make Pokemon. We don't make episodes. Sorry, yeah, no, that's crass.
Pokemon.
We don't, please. We make episodes.
Anyway, so the original Blood and Honey was sitting at a 3% for the tomato meter and 50% for the audience.
And should we, like, just to reiterate our feelings about Blood and Honey, the first one? Yeah, dude, 3% well earned, if I'm being entirely honest.
Yeah, man.
It is
brutal.
It is not that good. It is a very brutal watch.
I'll bring up one scene because it's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yep.
There is an entire 3-minute unedited scene that has the mic pack of the lead character showing the entire scene.
Just go check it out. Like, the
funniest shit I've
lead
ever
character goes to a gas station. She's talking to these shady characters. There's one scene from behind her. If you've listened to episode 10 then?
Yeah,
episode 10, you'll hear us talk about that. Just full mic pack facing straight at the camera. It's insane.
Hey, what's 20? Wait, hold on.
Don't make me do math.
No, you're gonna like it.
Oh,
it's gonna
gosh.
it's a good bit. What's 20? Wait, hold on.
Now he's got to do
No.
math.
What's 26.5 plus 26.5?
That's what? It's 55. 4,
Wait, I told you the wrong math.
No, come on.
I did. I told you the wrong math. Okay, what's
I'm so bad at math.
What's 22.5 plus 22.5?
45.
Yeah. What's 45 plus 3?
48.
That's the score of Blood.
Why are we doing math? I hate this.
Because it's gone up 45% from the last
I
movie.
see what you're saying, yeah. So really what Blood and Honey 1 had going for it was the fact that they had a movie, this big shock factor that is spun off into this crazy new thing. There's it's this trend now where beloved childhood characters are coming within the public domain now, and they're like, what if we took this beloved whimsical childlike character and we turned them into this horrific monster? Wouldn't that be so crazy? But it's
yes.
happening.
And
because now we have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 and 2. There's a movie coming out, I think, this year called Steamboat Killie.
Yeah.
Which is Steamboat Willie is now making a horror movie.
There was also Alice's Adventures in
Alice in
Terrorland.
Terrorland. Yes, that's what it is. So it's becoming a thing. So like I feel like this is really the figurehead, the front man for all of this that is happening. And I feel like they found some success just because it was such a ridiculous concept. Like,
absolutely.
this beloved character turning into this monster. Like, you're going to go see it if it's bad or not. I mean, that's why we watched it, even beyond the fact that it was like low enough for us to watch for the podcast.
It was one of those things. It was like one of our most suggested movies.
Yes,
like, as soon as
exactly.
we started the podcast, everyone was like, "Oh,
Blood and Honey." Yeah, exactly. Big hype. That's what all of our adoring fans sound like.
sorry, bud.
Thank you. We love you all.
So the reason this movie was made is because the original Blood and Honey made $7.7 million.
You guys showed up. You like everybody. I don't know if you
Everybody
specifically, but like people showed up for this movie. Maybe it was just for the shock factor, but they decided to come back and say, okay, we're going to go with a sequel, put all this money to great use and make like a higher budget film.
Yeah. You know how sometimes when you're like scrolling through words, you see a word and it really stands out to you?
Yeah, of course.
So I was just like scrolling through the Blood and Honey.
That's just what I do with like the dictionary. I just like fidget through the flip through all the pages and like, ooh,
Ecclesiastes.
that's a funny word. Ooh, that's fun. Nurple. That's
I saw
funny.
Pooh drag.
Huh?
And when I read Pooh drag, I imagined
One word, Pooh drag.
Pooh drag. And I imagined like if we were to do a drag show, if we dressed up as Winnie the Pooh.
I'm so glad you went there because I went a very different direction where it was like a
dragging
rag.
poop?
No, a rag that you like pooed on, a poo drag.
Oh, come on, man.
So drag queens, a lot better. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what were we saying? Winnie the Pooh is a drag queen?
That's gross, bro.
Winnie the
No, yeah,
Queen-
no.
Queenie the Pooh? I don't
Winnie
know.
the Pooh. Yeah, Winnie
Queenie the Pooh.
I think if I was a drag queen, I would definitely want to be some sort of Winnie the Pooh theme because I would look gorgeous. And I would be voluptuous.
Oh my God. I just got one. E-orgasm.
Oh my God. Just because
That's
it's
nothing.
drag doesn't mean it have to be sexual.
No, they're just clever, fun puns that are like, suggestive in nature. I think
Winnie
drag
the
names are
Doomy.
awesome.
What?
Winnie the Doomy? No.
That's stupid. That's like you're sitting around at Boy Scout camp and there's one
Yeah.
really socially awkward kid who doesn't know how to make jokes and he thinks one's up and he's like, Winnie the Doomy. So I'm in a show right now again. I know it's already happened.
Oh gosh.
And I'm playing a nerd. Like I'm playing a super big nerd. So
Big time nerd.
Me and my double, we have been like watching compilations of nerds and like how they react to things. It is crushing my psyche.
Where are you find? Do you just go
YouTube.
Get on YouTube, please. YouTube, show me nerd compilation.
It is so cringy, man.
Is it like exactly what you would think? Like, actually,
Yes.
I'm the nerd, and I'm gonna say it like this.
So I come to find out there was a nerd competition.
What?
It was like Survivor style. Like we're gonna give you the rose, but it's like a video game controller or something.
Good
and they're all like
Lord.
fighting to be the nerdiest. And there's this one guy,
This is
and he
terrible.
talks like this, and he's like, "Okay, my lady." That's like literally how he laughs. He's like, like a cackle,
But
almost.
like, if he's on a competition like this, how much of that do you think is like faked? Do you think they're
Well,
really doing this?
you look at like their other content because
Yeah, yeah.
obviously all of them are like streamers. And
Yeah,
stuff.
of course it has, and that's how it all is.
Yeah, he's just all like this. But my favorite part about this, the reason I bring this up, is because towards the end, this guy gets kicked off the island, and he's like, "Oh well, brother, I really like you, and I'll subscribe."
What? After
Yes.
getting kicked off?
Yeah, he's like, "I'll subscribe to you." I don't know. I just
What a
thought it was-
gentleman.
It was just like it was the kind of cringe that you have to tell somebody about because the fact you saw it hurt you.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
just
back
have
to blood.
You can't hold on to that yourself.
Man.
Let's back to our Blood and Honey 2 competition. We got two Bloods and Honeys pitted against each other right now. In this corner, you've got a really bad B-budget movie that was 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. And in this other corner, you've got a movie that had a way bigger budget. Like
Way
a way
bigger
bigger budget.
Well, but like not actually as much bigger as
Is it
you would
not?
think. No.
Really?
No, it's kind of funny. So the original had $100,000 budget.
Okay.
Made $7.7 million.
Insane.
So
Actually insane.
it made like so much money.
But it had
I mean,
the shock factor going behind it. Like
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough. While it did make a lot of money, that movie sucked ass.
that movie was so bad. Easily one of the worst movies we've watched on this podcast. Even the kills were not that exciting.
No, of course not.
But then you zoom forward an entire year. They have now produced and made Blood and Honey 2 for not like $1 million, not like $3 million, even though they have that money.
they got that money.
They definitely have that money.
What are we looking at? What's the number here? Doctor, please. That's it?
They didn't even put $1 million.
So they
into this
bumped
thing.
it up. So what, 100,000 was the first? So
They
they bumped it up
400.
400,000 and that's it? Like, that's a lot of money. But like, they could have gone in the millions with this.
Yeah.
I'm shocked and
And-
honestly proud.
And I am too. And I mean, I don't want to give away too much about how we feel about this movie.
Yes.
But imagine the things that they could have done if they had just thrown another 100,000.
Be so crazy.
But instead, what they did, and I don't know if you heard about this, folks. Have you heard of it? Have you heard the news? We're getting a Pooniverse, and not Poon like the sexually innuendo. We're getting like Pooniverse, like not like Pooh
Winnie the
Universe.
Pooh and then Universe.
And
Winnie the Pooh universe. I was actually just about to bring this up because I actually had the same thought. We're like, what if they were saving some of that money? Because yes, you heard it right. They have planned an entire Winnie the Pooh universe, a Pooniverse, so to say, where they're taking other intellectual properties that like mostly Disney has had their hands on that are now within the public domain. And they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to make a ton of these movies now. They really like called this shot early because they announced this when they like when they finished Blood and Honey 2. Like, so like it wasn't even released yet. They were like, Blood and Honey 2 is coming also. All of these other movies.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because I think we're definitely onto something there. I think that's where all the money went.
It has to be. Like, because if they, like, what am I trying to say? Dived all of their money, thrown all of their money at Blood and Honey 2, they would have nothing left for the rest of them. So they
And
have to.
honestly, it probably wouldn't have been as good.
They
It would
have
been
to be
overproduced.
smart about it. Yes,
It would have been
exactly.
overproduced.
They would have done way too much on
I think
it.
they probably didn't set a budget. And they were like, okay, let's make this movie the way we want to make it. Which, huge prompts to, man, we're getting to talk about the movie already. That's weird.
We don't usually talk about the movie right now yet.
I mean,
tell me something funny. Make
I've already
another
had-
Pooh joke.
No, I'm already talking about it. But so the Pooniverse currently is teaming up with Bambi, Tinkerbell, and even more. Like, oh my God,
Pinocchio is another one.
Pinocchio, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tigger, Piglet, the Mad Hatter, Sleeping Beauty.
Wow. On variety.com, it says for an IP bludgeoning frenzy. That's hilarious. Actually, that's a great way to put something like that. Yeah. But it's just, it's wild to me that they've come up with something like this. I think it is a wonderful idea for them to put all this together after they've really, like, I don't know. I don't want to give away exactly what we thought about the movie, but they did a lot better this time is what I can say. It is not like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And there are a lot of reasons for that within the movie, but they have done a good job of like taking this a different direction. Like we did this and we did the shock factor thing. We can't live off of that now.
Absolutely.
So now, honestly, after seeing this movie, I can't say if it's good or bad yet. I will say after this movie has been viewed, I am eager to see what the rest of these are going to be like.
I'm freaking stoked.
I'm excited because when they announced it, I was not. I was like, out. You are kidding me. Get
blown
these
away.
out of here, please.
Well, and we haven't even talked about it. Blood and Honey 2, I think another reason they didn't spend as much money, they probably didn't expect it to do as well.
Oh, yeah,
but
probably.
it made $7.5 million.
Woo!
Internationally,
That's crazy.
too, like all over the world. Like,
Yeah.
this movie blew up, which is so funny to me.
I mean, I remember like when there's a movie that's coming out, we'll typically send each other like what the Rotten Tomato score is for it, just because we're like, oh look, this movie could be podcastable, you know?
Yeah.
When this movie debuted, it debuted with a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, man.
That was not with a lot of reviews. It has obviously gone down a lot lower. But when
Yeah,
it came out at
48.
first, people were actually talking about it. They were like, no, they changed it up for this one, guys.
yeah, it blew up.
So yeah, I'm sad it took us so long to get to it, but honestly, it wasn't even available to stream until recently.
And things kept happening. Like we tried to go see it in theaters, but it just never worked
Yeah,
out.
it just didn't work out. So I'm glad that we finally got around to
me
it.
too.
I'm very eager to talk about it. Before we start talking about it, because we've already started, Derek, what am I drinking here? I got a tasty little drink over here. Nom, nom, nom.
My, it's been 2 weeks since I've done this voice. I mean, since I took over your body.
What's up, Bilbo Bartender? Welcome back to the scene.
I know you watched Blood.
Did you
and
get a
Honey.
haircut, Bilbo?
I didn't actually.
Oh, well.
I sucked it back in my head. It's like
You
Play-Doh.
You like did a reverse Play-Doh person where like you put your arms down and the Play-Doh goes out of your head. You like lifted your arms up and it goes back in.
Yes.
Jumping jacks must be insane for you.
It's terrible, yes, because I look like an 80s hair rocker half the time when I'm in the air, but then once I hit the
you're
ground, I'm just a bald boy
You're
from New
flapping
Jersey.
your arms up and down. And it's like hair in, hair out, hair in, hair out.
Oh, kiss, not kiss, kiss, not kiss.
Kiss, not
You like
kiss.
it,
You know,
you
he's
like it.
beautiful. He's ugly. No, listen, you're gorgeous. No matter what your hair looks like, Bilbo, you're pretty. And I'm sorry that I guessed wrong. You didn't get a haircut. You just look so handsome today. You know, you're great.
Nobody's ever said this to me.
I think people should start,
Maybe I should stop killing children and putting them into the dream.
You should. Absolutely. I'm definitely not complimenting you just so you stop the murder.
Well, anyway, I
Please.
killed 3 children and put them into
And
this
I've
dream.
been wearing a wire this whole time.
Oh, no.
You're under arrest. Sick 'em, boys. I lied. There weren't actually. I played that siren sound effect. There's no cops outside. This is just a piece of string that I taped to my chest. It's not even a wire.
Anyway, what you're drinking today is what I'm calling the
You made stick. You come on. Take another swing at this.
The mug and honey. Get it? Get it? Gets blood and honey.
Because I don't really get it. What's in it though. What's
Mug
mug?
root beer.
Mug root mug.
Some
and
honey and a whole lot of yummy goodness. It's a fireball.
It's
Because
fireball.
fireballs happened in this movie.
Okay. Well,
I feel like this is the
that's
worst
not-
version of this voice I've ever done.
No, I
but
think
it's a
it's
very
great.
hard voice to maintain.
No, Bilbo Bartender, you're great.
Okay. Well, I have a lot to think about.
Okay.
My whole worldview is different because someone was nice to me.
Okay. Yeah. His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
My chest really hurts. I might die. Soupy twist.
I love that. That's a different take on the end of the Grinch, where it's like, and his heart grew 3 sizes that day, and he died because that's a horrible. That is how it happens,
That's how
right?
mean one ended. Yeah.
Insane.
We watched that movie.
I can't believe that actually happened to us.
What have you been doing lately, man? You've been watching movies?
I've been watching some movies. I watched Freaked from 1993. I don't have the number off the top of my head. It's from like the 1990s, I want to say. That is a bonkers movie. It is a super weird movie.
Yeah.
Where it's basically like this dude who's a celebrity because of some movies he just recently made. He signs on with this company that makes this chemical that the public is like, this chemical is dangerous. So they're trying to get like the celebrity endorsement.
Okay.
On his way to go endorse this company, he stops by like a sideshow with this like circus freak show kind of thing. Dude kidnaps him and his friends and turns them into freaks using
Whoa.
that same like chemical ingredient.
fun, actually.
It's wild, but the practical effects are insane.
Yeah.
They've got 2 people who were conjoined, and I could not figure out how they got them both in the costume to work
sick.
out.
Maybe
They've
they
got
were
an
actually
entire.
conjoined.
They've got an entire hairy wolf man. They've got this dude who's like Two-Face with this half troll face. It's insane. There's one dude who's just an entire nose, like his whole face is his big ass nose. It's just one of the craziest movies I've ever watched. It was so wacky. What about you? You watched something?
Yeah, I've watched a
watched a lot of
I mean,
stuff.
you've watched a lot. You watched more than that, haven't you?
I've watched some. I can't remember anything else. I
Okay.
watched.
Well, I watched a couple. I want to like highlight here is I watched Madam Web, and let me tell you.
Oh God!
I
When
don't know.
Derek came to me like hat in hand, like toes pointed towards each other. He's like, "I watched Madam Web." Like you were so sheepish about the fact that you had to admit that you devoted how much time? How long is it? Like 2 hours?
I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. Let me tell you. Easily the worst movie I've ever watched, and I co-run this podcast.
Yeah, so let that be.
Like,
let that jot that
sit.
down.
Jot that down in your little pamphlet, you little kid. What?
You little bug.
You little bug. That was the funniest movie I've ever watched in my life.
But no, what's funnier about it is Derek had this romping good time, like laughing at it the whole time. Then he's like, I'm just going to show you. I got to show you guys some of this. And he pulls up some footage from it. He cannot find like a single funny thing about it.
Because it's terrible out of context. But when you sit down and watch it beginning to end, genuinely hilarious.
Yes, and I think it's also because you're losing your mind halfway through it.
Yeah.
But, like, there were some scenes that were just like so bad, they were so funny.
The CGI alone was just
Goodness, but there are
dreadful.
some good actors in it
Yeah.
that just do not deliver. Like, what did they do to these poor actors?
Freaking man! I also watched Problemista. 'Cause
Problemista.
I'm trying to watch movies that came out this year, and that's another A24 movie. Have you heard of Julio Torres? Do you
Nope.
know who he is?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not. I don't know.
Easily the cutest man I've ever seen in my life,
Oh,
and I don't
he's a
mean
cute
like
man.
attractive cute. He is adorable.
He's just adorable,
and we have to protect.
You're just like,
him.
I want to scoop him up and hold him close.
Look up. Not right now. I think it's called Los Fantasmos.
Los Fantasmos. Wait. I know
Phantasmos.
that sounds incredibly familiar to me. Wait, what is this
I think
thing?
that's what it's called.
Something like that.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, that just means like the
miserably.
ghosts.
Yeah, it just means that Julio Torres. Anyway, this movie was his like movie debut, right? It was his first movie. It's a movie about this kid who moves into the country and he's trying to get his visa and he really wants to work for Hasbro. All he wants to do is he wants to work to the toy company.
The American dream, making toys for our country.
No, literally.
I mean, yeah.
That is like his dream.
That's
And
beautiful.
it's adorable. everyone should watch this movie because it is such a wild ride. It's one of those movies that's like super artsy, and so like weird things keep happening. Like there's this like entire room full of hourglasses to symbolize people whose time in the US are running out because they aren't able to get their work visas.
That's terrifying.
And so like
very real.
And so like there'll be moments in the show where people will just disappear and like the things they're holding will like fall to the ground and people will just go on with their lives.
Whoa.
Like there's this one specific moment.
Sucks.
There's this one specific moment where this woman holding like folders and then she just like looks up shocked. It falls to the ground and someone just walks over it.
That's
very effective.
Devastating.
Very
that's
effective.
horrible.
On top of that, the fucking funniest movie I've watched in a while. It was so good. Like Tilda Swinton is in it as this like basically like Devil Wears Prada insane woman whose husband cryogenically froze himself.
What?
And then like there was this whole bit about how you have to sign a paper basically agreeing to euthanasia to be cryogenically frozen.
What the hell?
Because technically, you're just dying.
Yeah, I
because
guess.
you don't know.
No.
You don't know if you're going to wake up one day. I don't even know how to describe it. Other than
Tilda
that.
Swinton is one of those actors where, like, I don't know if she's necessarily one of my favorites, and I don't think everything she's done is fantastic. But like, she's one of those actors, much like a Willem Dafoe, where when you see them in a movie, like it's elevated.
Yeah,
Like the
absolutely.
movie becomes elevated, and I think it's literally because like there are certain actors who go so hard on things. Like there's Tilda Swinton, there's Willem Dafoe, there's Nicolas Cage, actors who like throw themselves into things where it's like, now that they're here, now that they're on set, I've got to like step my game up. These
Yeah.
are the real deals.
It was Los Espookies.
There's no way that's real.
It's 100% real. Has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't watched it yet. It is entirely in Spanish. Go check it out.
That's incredible.
He is incredible.
That reminds me, like this is my tita I'm talking about, my abuela. I'm half Hispanic on my dad's side, so I feel the need to preface that before I say this. She does the cutest thing where she has this dog, right, and she named the dog Scooby, but she doesn't call him Scooby. Every time she says Scooby, she says Scooby. There's an E in front of it.
Scooby.
Scooby. So it's like it's the cutest thing, and I adore it. But yeah, so that makes me think about saying spooky, spookies.
It's Spookies.
Anyway, I love you,
It's
tita.
just
and
it's a
te
show.
amo mucho.
Oh my god.
That's cute.
Is she listening?
That maybe.
I hope not.
She couldn't understand it. It's fine.
Oh, that's true. Wait, she's probably been listening because she loves you. And
Yes.
the thought of your oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
That's
The
wait,
thought of
shut
her
up. That's so
sitting there
cute.
listening to every episode,
That
even though
she
she can't
can't
understand. And then
understand?
all of a sudden she hears you say, "I love you, Grandma."
That's kill. That's
Hold
that's
on.
incredible.
I just broke a little bit.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
So the other movie we watched.
Oh goodness, gosh. Do you have another movie?
Well, we watched this one together. We watched Devil's Bath.
I forgot we watched that.
Yeah, this movie.
It was an interesting time.
Yeah, man.
It just like it wasn't necessarily what I was expecting. Was that one released this
No.
year, The Devil's
Yeah,
Bath?
yeah.
It's based on true events, things that happened a lot of the time. Like should we
I mean,
I
feel like we should probably. Okay, a little bit of a trigger warning for
bit of a content warning.
for suicide,
Yes.
and death and persecution. So maybe
If you don't want that, skip ahead like
5 minutes.
Yeah.
So the Devil's Bath is actually a term from the 1820s.
Yeah, it was like the 1800s. I think either the 17 or 1800s. I forget.
In Austria, and essentially what it means is a woman, usually in a religious persecution situation, would kill a child or kill someone, primarily children. It was mostly children. To then confess.
Yes.
So
So,
that
they're
they would get
absolved of this sin.
Yes, so that they would get absolution and get into heaven and then be executed. So it was suicide.
Yes. So like as an alternative to suicide, because if you commit suicide, you are not welcomed into heaven, right? And that's the biggest thing about that. So they're like, how can I, be rid of this life and also get into heaven? And that's what they did. Apparently there were more than 400 cases of this.
And
there was like a little bit of a note about it at the very end of the movie. And it's just,
Which makes it more and more shocking.
no, exactly. I thought that would have been like, I didn't think it would be up in the hundreds,
man.
that many cases of this, but that is just devastating.
I definitely thought it was going to be like a couple times this happened, but no. It is a horribly graphic.
It's a bleak
And
movie to
bleak.
to put it into one word.
There
it
is
is
nothing
bleak.
funny in this
Nope.
movie. There is no happiness.
Yes, like it is just. It kind of makes you feel bad after you finish it.
But what I did really enjoy about it, I mean, enjoy is a stretch.
Yes, right.
Is these type of historical thrillers? I wouldn't really call it horror. It was definitely more of like a historical shock fest.
Yeah.
I guess that's horror.
That's the best way to put it.
Is it portrayed things very well, and it definitely showed the situations that they were in and how these people actually felt like they had no chance. And no
it's a very
other direction.
real depiction of it. You know,
it was.
Doesn't romanticize things.
No,
it is just a very realistic interpretation of the things and probably how they could have gone. You know,
And I'm a person who's dealt with some religious struggles in his life, and after this movie, I turned to Isaac and our buddy Seth, and I was like, I don't feel bad about my religious troubles anymore because it wasn't like that.
Not in comparison to that. Goodness, yeah, it could have been way worse.
I mean, I personally thought it was a phenomenally made film.
Yeah, it
Will
was
I
very
ever
well
watch
made.
it again?
Some good cinematography
Oh
for sure.
my god, I
Very,
gotta
very
live in
good.
Austria.
Some really good music in it too. The
Oh,
music,
yeah.
the music played
Very
a really good part.
effective.
I really wish
Very
Austria was real. Wouldn't that
Me
be?
too.
That'd be crazy.
I wish it wasn't real. Actually,
After that, you're right.
After that movie, I wish it wasn't.
Let's pretend
real.
it was a made up place and it never happened. So
yeah.
should we get into more about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 now?
Yeah, you don't want to talk more about Madam Web?
About Madam Web or Problemista? No, I think Madam Web is the Problemista in the situation.
Got him. What does Problemista stand for?
So do you? I don't know.
Mr. Problem.
Hey, Mister, you got a problem?
Hey, Mr. You got a problem?
Or maybe that's just like their self-proclaimed, like, I got a problem. You need someone to have a problem with? I'll have a problem
It's
with
me,
it.
Problemista.
It's like a hitman, but like way less intense.
Yeah, okay.
It's like I don't want you to go and kill this person. Just like tell them like, I got a problem. Hey, Mister, and they give you like a little bap on the arm. They're like, Derek's got a problem with you.
That's good.
Okay, here's your summons. I'm serving you these papers. Don't eat them. You're not a horse. I'll get on my high horse to talk about how I have a problem with you.
Big. Hey, Bo, it's me. And I learned a lesson from last week.
Hey, mister, do you need a problem?
Yum.
You ate my problems. I'm absolved of all my sins and my problems. Here I go.
Okay, that's really dark.
No, you shot the kid.
Oh, fuck.
He wasn't a kid. He's an employed adult who just sounds like a child.
Should we cut that from the episode?
No.
I'm worried.
I
I feel like I just committed sin.
He's a small man. He's just a really small man who sounds like a kid. He had a birth defect that made him sound
His
like
final
this all
words
the
were,
time.
"My balls didn't drop."
My mister, I got a problem. My balls haven't dropped. This is terrible.
So-
what else do you have to tell me about Blood and Honey 2?
I got a couple things. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, I'd love to hear him.
you
Just
sure?
throw him out, yeah.
Tell me in a 3-word sentence how much you want to hear them.
Tell me now.
Okay, very good.
I almost said please. I should have said please. Can I? I'm gonna go back. Tell me please.
Tomato. So IMDb is sitting at a 4.6 for this one, which is, I mean, I would say it's about the same as the 48.
Pretty
close. Letterboxd is sitting at a 2.3. We already talked about the
Which is
budget.
out of 5. I feel like we should reiterate out of how many stars this is because I always forget. So
Letterboxd is out of 5.
Yes.
And I didn't tell you. In my review for this movie, I put my star rating, and I want to start doing that every episode.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
should do that because I did it silly. You got to add it.
I have
add it while I'm talking.
Oh gosh, yes. I have to
I
think
won't
about
look.
what my star
I'm really
rating
close.
is. I'll come up with it by the end of the movie. That's something I should actually mention. There's something about when we go through the movie again, by the end of it, my opinion sometimes shifts.
Mine
it
too.
It doesn't necessarily change 100%, but there have been some times where I was like, this movie was pretty okay, but then after discussing it, I'm like, you know what? This movie actually was pretty good.
Yeah,
So
sometimes.
we'll see how many stars I sit with by the end of the movie.
I mean, yeah. So this movie was written by A.L. Milne, and he is actually known for creating Winnie the Pooh. He wrote. I'm being a stupid.
It was used with characters created by A.A. Milne,
I know.
right?
I was just trying to make it.
Which I also
trying to do a
noticed.
bit.
I didn't think about this until after the fact when I read more names about them. There's a time in the movie where the main character goes to a search engine and it's called Milne. And that's because A.A. Milne. It all comes together.
That's actually really cute.
It's kind of cute. This is a cute episode.
So
Not really. We talked about Pooh.
It was also written by Reese Frake. I can't. Reese Frake.
Why is it Reese that's stopping you?
His name is Rice Frake Waterfield, and he is behind the entire Pooniverse, man. This guy, he produces, he directs, he writes all of it.
Did he have
wrote
anything
and
to do with
directed
the
this
first one?
Yeah. He wrote and directed that one. He's the man. He's been doing it since all the way back in 2021 with Dinosaur Hotel. That was his first.
All
big,
those 3 years ago.
all the- Shut up. He's been doing it a long time.
I mean,
man.
yeah, he has significantly improved, I can say, from between Blood and Honey 1 and 2.
You know, $7 million did that to him.
$7 million really changes a man. If I had $7 million, I'd be a much better writer.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I feel like I would have something to prove, would be the thing.
I would feel scared. I feel like people would start asking me for favors.
Oh, yeah.
Like they would come
absolutely.
over to my house and be like, "Hey, man, do you have any flour?" And I'd be like, "Here's a check for $80,000. Go buy yourself."
I
a
have no
flour
concept of money anymore. Have all this,
Oh my
right? That's how
God.
much it costs.
mill. $80,000 to someone with $7 million is like chump change.
You're right. Let's get rich.
Let's just
Any generous donors
just
out
that
there want to
easy.
hand us some money, please?
that easy. Money, please.
Money, please.
So it was also written by Matt Leslie, who wrote.
Now, no, you tell me. Tell me these things he wrote.
He's only actually written a couple things. He wrote this. He wrote a movie called If. Well, a short called If, which I don't know if it's related to the movie that just came out, and a movie called Summer of '84.
Have you seen Summer of '84?
No, but apparently it's really good.
It kicks ass, actually. It is, I want to say it's somehow connected to the people who made Turbo Kid, which was a movie that I showed you, which was
I
great,
love
right?
Turbo Kid.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is like this typical like 1980s kids on bike style horror movie where there's like a serial killer going on around the town, and like I saw it forever ago. Fun thing, they showed this in like very, very few theaters in Utah. I went to see it at a theater that was literally 2 hours away from me because I wanted to check it out that bad. It was this
wanna do
teeny
that.
tiny like mom and pop shop of a theater that was literally, you walk into one little main office and that's where they sell tickets and sell concessions. It was like the size of a
Cute.
closet. Then you walk into the next room and it's probably like the size of the room we are in right now. There's seats set up, there's one projector, and they just show movies, and it was
That's adorable.
wonderful. I wish I remembered the name. I'd love to like shout them out and support them, but it was a wonderful experience seeing
That's
that movie.
amazing.
Anyway, that movie kicked ass.
Summer of '84.
Summer of '84, check it out.
So we need to talk real quick about the person who's playing Christopher Robin in this movie before we get into the movie itself.
Let's talk about we have some things to discuss because we
this-
made a discovery during the movie.
I emailed this guy. That's how much we've gone back.
That's right. I forgot because, mind you, the actor that plays Christopher Robin in the sequel and this one, the first one, different actors. This time around, we got Scott Chambers.
Scott fucking Chambers. If you're listening to this, which I know you are,
I know you were listening intently. You were waiting for us to
I
bring
know
your
you
name.
I know you just did Dr. Jekyll, and you're feeling all cool and high and mighty. Of
Yeah, the Eddie Izzard Dr.
Eddie
Jekyll
Izzard
movie.
Dr.
I want to see it. It
Jekyll.
looks like a wild ride.
He also did Cinderella's Curse.
Okay.
He also did Freddy's Fridays.
Wow.
He also did Mary Had a Little Lamb, the
Yep.
horror movie.
Yep.
He also was an executive producer for the original Blood and Honey. He also
That
did
tracks.
Fire NATO. And basically, he's produced everything that other guy did, and then some.
Yes,
like
but-
Curse of Jack Frost,
But
Shockwaves,
Derek,
Croc.
there was one
Curse of Humpty
specific
Dumpty.
movie that he helped with, right? That we have talked about on this podcast, right?
the one I emailed him about.
Mhm.
Cupid.
Cupid.
Freaking Cupid. He wrote and directed Cupid.
This is the guy behind that garbage fire of a movie from Uncorked Entertainment.
And I emailed them. I reached out for a comment, and he never responded.
Scott Chambers, what's happening, babe?
But he's also the guy behind those cool kills, because I felt like Cupid had some great kills.
It did have some.
well, creative.
One thing we'll talk about that we mentioned a lot during Cupid is like we love a creative killer.
Yeah.
Want someone who's very on brand with the killings. It's just like when we watched Thanksgiving that was released last year. Same deal, very like Thanksgiving themed kills, and those are very fun, right? So like it makes sense how there are some cool things that are dished out in Blood and Honey. But yeah, he's not the director of this one. He is starring as Christopher Robin.
Absolutely. And that's basically all I gotta say about Blood and Honey 2, man. It doesn't have too much to talk about other than that.
I think we just got to get into it, man. I'm like eager to tell the public about what went down in this movie. Like
Me too.
I need people to know.
and kind of moving forward, this is probably the most violent movie we've watched for the podcast.
Oh, I guess I hadn't thought about that. But you're right. Like this is definitely a movie that has a lot more violence and graphicness than other movies, and maybe that goes to show the much bigger budget that we have this time. But
Yeah. I'm kind of blown away
me
at
too.
how violent this movie was.
me too.
So keep that in mind moving forward. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. We'll see you next week. I love you. Kisses.
Bye.
You know who you are. Bye, Tita. So
So let's get into our expectations here now, right?
We do that.
We ready? You ready
We
for
do that.
expectations?
Hey, I forgot that we did that.
So, so I guess we didn't read any reviews, huh? So 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? 76 for the audience scores. I suppose we should get into it has a critics and audience consensus. We can read these.
We can read them.
Which one do you want?
The one of them.
You want I'll take the critics consensus.
Okay.
Critics say with a rotten review for it, or with a rotten consensus, says Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 represents an improvement over the original in most respects, although the Poohniverse remains a place made for hardcore slasher fans.
See, we didn't make up Poohniverse.
No, that's real. That's a real thing. That's a real quote.
The audience says Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is a gory good time with better production values than the first movie, along with more backstory for the characters.
More backstory for the characters. I guess I feel like we haven't done critics reviews in so long. Why do I feel like
because we keep watching movies that are too bad.
Yeah, they don't actually have any things. Jack Martin from Film Theater says, "Is it art? Hell no, but it is a gory, silly, and unapologetically unpretentious blast." What you got?
Rebecca Johnson from Film Focus Online with a score of 2.5 says, with a deeper story, more kills, and improved visuals, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 manages to exceed expectations set out by the original. However, it still takes itself far too seriously. This premise is begging for a bit of fun.
We got David Jenkins here as a top critic from Little White Lies with a rotten review, says, Frank Waterfield attempts to pass off this cheap jack mode of self-conscious kitsch with a few lines of dialogue which may as well have been spoken while the actor winks towards the lens. This person hated this movie. They got a 1 out of 5 score on that one.
I got a 1 out of 5 here too. Jeffrey M. Anderson from Common Sense Media, the 1 out of 5 score, says, this horror sequel's budget may be more than 10 times that of the original. What? Was it? No, it wasn't. It was only 5 times.
It was not.
Anyway, and it certainly has much higher production values, but in many ways, it's much worse. It's much more callous, thoughtless, and conniving.
Goodness. People had some harsh words to say about this one.
Yeah, they did.
Derek, can I tell you what I was expecting when we were going into this movie?
Sure, me too.
I was expecting a less than great time. I was really thinking that this bigger budget was not going to save the movie. Like, I felt like they would make some better directional choices here. Obviously, they've got a lot more money for things, but I was like, it's still going to be blood and honey. It's not going to be a great time.
Yeah, I expected basically a B movie with good effects.
Yep. Yeah.
Is all I was expecting.
And that ties into my very first expectation was better effects and higher production value. And that's just generally speaking, I was like, they got more money to back it up this time. This is their second swing at things. Like, I think this is going to go better this time as far as those things go.
Absolutely. My first expectation, still a B movie, just slightly crazier.
Yeah. I said flat out, still no good. Just, reiterating what I was saying from the first one. Like, Blood and Honey one was not one of my favorite movies. It sits pretty low in my ranking of all the movies we've watched here. So I was like, it's probably still going to be that way.
Yeah. My next one, gory as hell.
Ooh. I would say
what else am I going to say?
Yeah, really.
I just thought it was going to be
You just thought there were going to be a lot of gore in this one. I said I'll miss the original Pooh mask because among many things that changed between the first one and the sequel, they changed the mask that Winnie the Pooh wears. Because in the first one, his features are softer and rounder. He looks more like a cute bear like you would expect a Winnie the Pooh to be. And there's something so much creepier about that than the new mask that they went with that made him look more like a grisly animal. He looked more like a bear, kind of did, Which
kind of makes sense.
Kind of makes sense, I guess. But yeah, so they changed the mask in this one amongst other things.
Stroke realization.
So I was like, I think I'm gonna miss that mask. That's all I have to say.
Then my next one, barely related to the first movie, and bear.
Oh, I get it, bear,
bear necessities,
like a Pooh bear, bear necessities.
I just felt like they would be trying to throw away the horror that, so to speak, that was the first movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they would be right to do so, sitting at a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I said the animals will have horrible one-liners. I really was expecting, because of the very end of the first movie, Winnie the Pooh talks. And he says, Derek, will you please tell me what he...
You left.
Yes, he says, you left. And those are the only words that any of the animals say throughout the whole movie. And my assumption was like, now that they've opened the door that the animals can talk, I was really expecting them to be like, okay, so now they're going to be talking a lot of the time. And I felt like it was going to be really cheesy, corny lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my next one, a ridiculous way to give Pooh people to kill. Like
Pooh people.
Shut up. You know what I mean? Like people... in movies, they're always baiting the killer.
They
right?
do
they're
that all the time.
People, I just felt like there was going to be ridiculous ways to get people into the 100 Acre Wood.
There are a couple moments actually in this movie where I made a note about how this scene feels like it only exists to give the animals someone to kill.
Yeah.
Like it didn't need to happen. It's just like, oh, I guess we should really like gore this up and give them more people to kill.
Absolutely.
Do
you not have one more?
No, that's it for me. That's
you sure?
That's all. Nope, never mind. I'm a liar. Bigger budget cannot help a terrible script. I was thinking. I mean, we've talked a lot about this, right? They have a lot more money. That's obvious. We've pointed that out. I really felt like that was not going to be able to help their script writing because if it's mostly the same team that was behind the first one, how much better could it get?
Yeah, exactly. And my last one was a stupid way to connect the Poohniverse.
Oh yeah.
Like they're trying to be the Avengers and they're trying to like give cameos and
yeah,
stuff
exactly.
like
Do
that.
like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with these Pooh characters. It seemed really weird.
Marvel Poohnimatic. Poohnimatic.
Poohnimatic.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
It
Pull
sounds
the lever
like-
and have a show.
Yeah, it sounds like a device that you put on your toilet. Welcome, honey, I've done it. I've perfected my device. I've built the Poohnimatic.
You need to go? I know. I put a lot of starch in your food. Come up and pull the lever.
I've been making you sick all of these weeks to test out my Poohnimatic. It's wonderful. This is the Poohnimatic 3000.
We've gone too far with the Pooh.
It's too much.
Man.
It's too
We
much.
gotta
Too much.
stop. We gotta go.
Let's dive into this movie instead. So let's start out with a so-so narrator in a kid's room that turns dark and bloody. So it's like this cutesy little child's room that slowly turns and like the wallpaper starts to peel. And then you see this horror book that's laying out on a table. You zoom into this book, and now we are getting this animated intro about the 100 Acre Massacre, which was the events of Blood and Honey 1, right?
And right away, the effects of this movie were better, but they were still kind of rough.
They
and
still
I was
stick
a little
out.
pretty worried. Because they had like a book and they were trying to like animate the top of the book, but they put the screen of animation like too far over the
Straight
edges.
over the edges of the book and also over like the middle of the pages.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, the narrator is like only kind of doing it for me,
It's
but
fine.
they're going for it. But so it dictates the what happened in the events of the first movie, right? Which we will now refer to as the 100 Acre Massacre.
Yep.
And so people got mad at Christopher Robin because of these murders, right? Because they didn't think obviously there were walking, talking bears and stuff like that, because that's what he told the people.
Yeah.
But some people believed him and went into the woods to hunt down these beasts. And so the places that the animals could hide were starting to diminish. They were literally like burning down the forests to try to get these Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and all of these animals out because they were murderers, right? Which is kind of wild. This is a very big thing about like half of society hates Christopher Robin because they think he's a murderer, but they really don't have any evidence of that.
Yeah.
The only evidence is the fact that like it's crazy that a talking bear could exist.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's like another half that like kind of believes him, right? So in this time, Pooh reunites with Owl and Tigger. So now in his little arsenal, the team is now Piglet, who died in the first movie.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Guess
Piglet's
he's alive
still here.
again. Winnie the Pooh, Owl, and Tigger. Christopher Robin became like a junior doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... you thought it was funny.
I mean, okay, listen, there's a lot of like doctor terms, and they went with junior doctor.
Yeah. It's kind of stupid.
Who says
He's
that?
really just trying to live his life, but he cannot like relieve himself of this dark past that he has.
So depressed. I'm gonna go to junior doctor school. Hey guys, it's me,
It's me, junior doctor. Hey, I heard you got your doctorate. No, I just got my junior doctorate. Imagine these guys hanging out after they receive their doctorate, and they're all like, "Hey, check this out. Check out my diploma." And the guy pulls out here's my junior doctorate, and it's like a small, like a quarter of the size diploma.
And there's like a picture of a normal sized diploma and a little one. Don't talk to me and my son ever again.
Don't touch it.
Anyone remember that meme? That was a meme. For
That's
a while.
perfect. No, we won't. I was going to say we'll make that meme, but we won't. So anyway, the point is Pooh and Christopher are still connected and will continue to feud is basically what this story tells us. So we get this fun. I actually did enjoy like the animated, like cartoony sequence in the beginning. Kind of felt like, kids drawings. It was really on point. It was fun. And then that cartoony drawing transitions to this shot of an RV, and there's some like obnoxious people playing with a Ouija board inside of there. There's these three ladies, right? I think that's all that's in there. As they play, the whole RV starts to get rocked from something outside, and you can hear. I know it's Owl because the subtitles told us this, but Owl starts to taunt them from outside. And then one girl gets stabbed straight through the wall of the RV with this metal pipe, just straight through her chest. Like we're starting off pretty brutal.
And it was effective
Yes.
in a way I did not expect, which
No,
I think made
really.
it more shocking.
So Pooh is here too. So currently we have Owl and Pooh who are here at this RV at night in the middle of
Pooh.
nowhere. No, we're not. We're not going there. And so Pooh is here. He's just going to tip over this whole RV by himself with his strength. Like he is surely showing his prowess here. And Pooh has unfortunately suffered bear death, if we can be so bold. Have you ever
he's
heard
a
of
twink.
Have you ever heard of twink death? You know, where it's like, you start off as like this slender, cute little guy, and then you turn into like, you start to thicken up, you get a bit more hair. Twink death, right? This is bear death.
Some of us are born bears, others have bears thrust upon them, and others are forced to become bears.
Yeah. I didn't choose the twink life or the bear life. It chose me.
Some of us are born bears and some of us have bears thrust upon them. I need to become like an outspoken gay man.
I need to put that on
so
like
I
a
can,
t-shirt.
that is funny.
That's hilarious.
People will go crazy. Can we make like a "that was horrible" t-shirt?
Yes.
That says like in a rainbow beautiful font.
I love it.
Like
in solemn support, obviously.
Oh, yeah, no. Definitely.
Yes.
No, like
I just get nervous every time we try to. I'm like, this is not at anyone's expense.
No,
It's just,
of course.
we love and support everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, but I want it to be in the font from like Microsoft Word from like the 90s version.
You know
where
what,
it's
like,
those huge bold 3D lettering.
I love those. Those like really shit post fonts. So anyway, yes, Pooh has suffered bear death, would I call it, because he is now, not only is his mask different, but he's basically like more slender, more lean in the muscle, and they just put like pillows in his tummy
Literal
area.
pillows. It's
to
not
make
even
him,
a joke.
No, to make him look like kind of fat. And like, I honestly miss the bigger, more literal bear of Winnie the Pooh from the first
he
one.
looked dumb. Imagine, for those of you nerds out there, anyone who's watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's like what happens between season 3 and season 5. They go from being huge, muscular men, and then all of a sudden the exact same men are small twinks.
Yes.
It's the exact same situation.
So anyway, he suffered bear death. So girl dies because she gets stabbed through the chest with a thing. One girl managed to escape out a window. As she's escaping, the whole RV explodes.
Oh my god.
And like
the
fire sucked. Anything really CG in this movie was awful. I was really not a fan of it.
Why did this happen?
They did a bad job with that stuff.
The thing that bugged me about this though is they had a real explosion.
Yes, because then later they show
good.
Yeah, exactly. They show a big.
They showed an inside shot that had like fake fire plastered
That was literally
over the
like
top.
moving around over the RV. It was bad. But so the RV explodes in this awful passion. Pooh kidnaps one of the girls, or he traps her with this bear trap around her ankle.
Man, this
it's
is
pretty.
brutal.
The practical effects were gory and great, if I may be so bold. Like,
no,
really,
they were
really good stuff.
We've seen a lot of practical effects that have not lived up to what
Which is
Blood and
wild,
Honey 2 did.
Because they have these wonderful practical effects, and then the CG really sucked.
And this is where the trigger warnings are going to start.
Yes, because he starts to go a little crazy here. He comes to this woman and just proceeds to snap her limbs at these awful angles for no reason.
Yeah.
He's really taking his time with his kill. But then he puts because she's lying face down on the ground right now, he puts the bear trap right in front of her face and just like stomps her head into the bear trap.
Ugh.
It's pretty brutal. And then
it lasts a long
time.
It's
pretty
very drawn out.
And then also while she's in there was a third girl, right, that was still in the RV when it explodes. She like lands into a pond that was right in front of the RV, and she's like pulling herself out. Her face is all mutilated and burnt up. Again, great practical effects. And then I think Owl just goes to town and kills her, right? Yep. Like I can't really remember what happens to her. But yeah, that's a really brutal start to this movie. And honestly, I sat there and kind of looked around the room. I'm like, I don't know, guys. They might actually pull through with this one.
Good intro.
A solid intro. So now we meet Christopher Robin. He is in hypnotherapy now to deal with his Pooh-related trauma. Again, shut up, Derek.
That was the genuinely most funny thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm in hypnotherapy to deal with my Pooh-related trauma.
Doc, I'm constipated. I need hypnotherapy.
Doctor, the boy can't poop. Bring in the Pooh-matic.
Bring in the Pooh-matic. I'm here with hypnosis this time. Look at the spinning dial, and when I count to 3, your poop will no longer be.
There it is. Oh, please, doctor, not me. My bum hurts.
Doctor, me bum hurts. I forget they're all British in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So Christopher Robin is in hypnotherapy for the 100 Acre Massacre, right?
Trauma.
That's what it is. So there's a girl. Shut up. I'm never gonna believe it. Can that be the title of this one? Pooh-related trauma,
Absolutely.
but Pooh with the H. A girl has followed him here with some like She has like a tracker that doesn't really come up. She just like has her friends' locations on her phone, which I guess is a normal thing. I've seen people do it. So this girl has followed him here, and he tells her she should leave him alone. He's like, please stop following me. I need you to go. So at first I'm like, is she like some stalker fanatic who's like followed the case? I don't really know what it is. But really what it is she's his good friend, and he doesn't want her to be the victim of all the bullying after the massacre, because he is now this victim of countless bullyings, and like just it's rough for him, you know?
It's bad.
It's hard for Christopher Robin out here with their Pooh-related trauma.
Stop. If you say that one more time, I'll die. I will die.
So
Of Pooh-related
and to further
trauma.
this proof, like she drives him home, like she convinces, she's a very nice friend to him. She's like, come on, let me give you a ride home. When he gets home, his car has been vandalized with the word murderer on it. Like he's kind of going through it, the poor guy.
I don't know how, but I completely forgot about her.
Yeah, she comes and goes, really. So I have to mention this because it will come up later. There's one shot, there's some like suspicious looking character that we don't get a good look at, who is listening to police radio to hear about anyone talking about the 100 Acre Wood. So he's just like, he's keeping an eye on that. We'll come back to him later. Meanwhile, there's some group of these gruff men hunting down the animals, hunting down Pooh and Piglet and all of them. And so I think they're the boyfriends of the girls who died in the beginning, because they're kind of like, their dialogue kind of goes along with that. They're like, no, I'm going to hunt them down to the ends of the earth to get back at them for what they did to so-and-so. So you assume they must have been the boyfriends of these girls from the RV kill in the beginning, right? So then we see Owl fly overhead, and he looks pretty good. Like Owl himself as the design. I actually really liked the way Owl looked in this movie.
I did too, but anytime he was flying,
his flying animation sucks.
it looked like they just used Photoshop.
Yes.
And did the like lasso tool.
Yes.
And then like screen recorded him like flapping across the
just
screen.
shaking him across the screen. Yeah.
That honestly might have been better if they had actually done that.
Really though. So yeah, now we see Owl is here. He's flying away. We see that these men are hunting them down. Owl gets back to their shady little den where all these animals are chilling right now, and he starts giving like this rousing speech to Pooh about how they should hate humans. And it feels a little unnecessary, because it feels like, throughout the acts of the first movie, they already like dictated that they hate people, right? Like it's a pretty big thing. The animals despise people.
Yeah.
I don't know what else more there's to say
They
about
just
it.
hate people, man.
But he basically says they should take the fight to the people, because Pooh is a little silent in this one. He like kind of sits on this throne in their den surrounded by bones and shit like that.
He didn't talk at all.
Not really. He said like one thing. Owl talks a lot.
Too much.
Too much
Arguably.
sometimes. Also, Tigger lives in this cage in there. He must be like their vicious, like crazy psychopath. He's their wild card.
If they ever do this with like the Muppets, like if they ever make like the evil Muppets version, that's gonna be Animal.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why, but he was giving me mad Animal vibes.
Absolutely, especially since they made him out to be the craziest one. They keep him locked away in a cage. Like even to them, he's crazy, right? Yeah. So now we jump back to the group of hunters. They get attacked by Piglet because of Owl's rousing speech, right? So one man takes out Piglet's head with one simple gunshot. Like a shotgun shot.
Immediately. And it's like a crazy explosion, too.
And what made me laugh is the fact that like, okay, hold on. Piglet died in the first movie. They retconned that, brought him back to life only for him to die immediately.
And just have his head explode.
With no problem. And so like Derek was like, oh, okay, so clearly they're going to come back from the dead or something.
Yeah.
No, Piglet's just dead
He's
now.
just gone.
He just completely died. So then Pooh makes an appearance and starts to take one man down. Pooh rips out the throat of one guy. He makes one guy shoot another dude in the face, and then he shoves the gun through another dude's head. Like it is brutal.
You know what's funny too? Is
What?
Piglet's on the cover. Like on the poster.
Like he's a big part of the movie.
He's not.
He's in like 2 scenes total, I would say. And again, you're going to get sick of me saying this, but like the effects are working for me. The makeup is 10 out of 10. It is
looks
really, really working.
good. Even though like I'm not a huge fan of the design changes for Pooh.
Yes.
They look good for
They
what
do
they
look
are,
good,
other than his
absolutely.
twink body.
There is still something, I don't know, his mask didn't look as good as the other ones. There were a couple moments where Pooh's mask specifically stuck out to us enough to comment about it while we were watching it.
There were just like a lot of times where like the skin flap on his neck would like be over the top of his clothes.
It didn't look quite as good as it did
or
in
like
the
you
first
could tell he
movie.
was wearing gloves.
Yes,
too.
it was very obvious there. So now Christopher Robin is being fired from his job at the Ashdown Hospital. Ashdown is the name of their little town where they're living in, and the 100 Acre Woods is just like right off the edge of that.
What do you think that means? Like I was searching for a meaning.
I want to say I might have written it down for the trivia. It has some connection to like other writers or something like that.
Okay,
So maybe in trivia we'll cover it. But yeah, Ashdown is a connection to something. I can't remember. But so he's getting fired because the hospital doesn't like the attention that he's bringing in. They're like, listen, you're a great junior doctor. We love your little junior doctor diploma, but unfortunately we can't have this happening right now, right? And so he also has a little sister, which my entire note for the little sister says he has a little sister now. She'll probably come back later because There really was a scene that didn't have much to mention.
forgot about this.
He just had like a sweet conversation with his sister
Yeah.
just to dictate, okay, that'll probably come back later. Yeah. So anyway, he got fired. He's in a shitty situation, right? There's a scene where a father and son are bird watching, and then Owl just swoops in, snatches up the father. It was jarring, but also so funny
it was
the way
hilarious.
it happened.
And I like not even necessarily in a bad way. It
No.
was actually just kind of good.
Because literally they're watching these birds through binoculars. The kid sees Owl with it and he runs away behind a tree. He's like, "Oh no, it's scary." And then the father's left alone where he first saw Owl, and then just swoop, pick it up. It was so funny.
It was amazing.
There's nothing more to say about that. I just thought it was a funny scene. Christopher Robin is back in hypnotherapy, starting a new session. So now it's flashback time. So the flashback also has that corny narrator from the beginning, but we see a young Christopher Robin and a young Pooh. We see little Pooh Bear.
Baby Pooh Bear is just a kid.
The
man.
effects on him were funny because he also had his own like little mask and stuff.
Yeah.
Like little Pooh was just funny. I don't know.
If you say Lil Pooh one more time,
It's his name. It's his Lil Winnie. Lil Winnie. Would that be better?
so much better.
Lil Winnie is better. Okay. So apparently, when he was a child, Christopher just ignored the fact that Pooh was always grisly and scary.
Yeah.
Like he's like talking over his own flashback, and he's like, "I guess I just ignored the fact that he always had a thing for killing." You see, like little kid Winnie with like blood in his mouth and stuff like that. So I guess he always had a thing for murder. We also, I can't remember a lot about the first movie, but I think it was already covered in the first movie that he had a twin brother named Billy. I can't remember if that was a plot in the first one.
No, I don't either.
So anyway, he has a twin brother named Billy, and they were throwing this huge party to celebrate their birthday, and this is the day that Billy was taken. And he was taken just like by a normal guy in a van, not even an animal, because I thought it was going to be like, oh, his brother was taken by Winnie when he was a kid, and like that's why he hates him. No, so his brother was just kidnapped, literally kidnapped at his birthday party. And so that's kind of how that happens. And as Christopher's going through this hypnotherapy, he almost sees the face of the man that took his brother. Almost. It's just a little blurry. So they had this big breakthrough, right? It's kind of good. This is the craziest turning point in this movie that honestly made me kind of love it. They established that the first movie, Winnie the
This
Pooh,
is
Blood
so
and Honey
good.
1, is a movie made about the events of the 100 Acre Massacre. There's a scene where a kid who's being babysat is watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 on TV. And he's like, "Yeah, wasn't this a movie made about that massacre that like the Christopher guy did?" So now they can do whatever they want with the lore.
Oh, yeah.
They've completely retconned the movie.
And honestly, such a creative Scream style retcon.
I loved it.
Right? It was so meta. It
Yes.
was so good.
It was so great.
I mean, it's part of the reason I love the Scream movies because they're all meta like that. And this really took that in stride.
It was incredible.
I was super happy with that.
So yeah, that explains like a lot of things. Like obviously the bigger budget, why Piglet is still alive. You know,
Wow.
the mask changes for certain things. Why
Was
Christopher
still
Robin
alive.
is a completely different character. Like
Yeah.
it like. I don't know. Like, it didn't necessarily bother me because that happens from sequel to sequel. But the fact that they did that really like tied it all in for me.
yeah,
So
it was
I loved that
fantastic.
happened.
Big fan.
Yeah. So meanwhile, some police officers find their way to the animal's awful den, right, where there were some murders that happened. There, they find a table full of body parts and blood and jars of urine. It's an awful scene. Like it's a gruesome, bloody scene. And Tigger's cage has been left open.
Oh no.
Goodbye, officers. So one of the cops, when they see obviously this awful scene around them, they say, "Fuck it, let's bounce." And Tigger goes, "That's my line."
Really good.
Kind of funny.
Really
Like,
great.
And I was like, okay.
Big fan of that, actually.
I wasn't too mad about that corny
I was
line.
super happy.
I
I
thought it was
loved it.
pretty funny. And then he quickly disposes of these cops off camera with much screaming. It's just like an outside shot of their den under a tree, and you just like see flashes of gunshots as you're screaming, and then nothing. Like
Generally one of the most disappointed moments of the movie.
honestly, especially since like they made Tigger out to be this big bad killer. Like
were holding us back from
let's
him.
let's hype it up. Yeah. So
And
for
then it was just nothing.
So that for them to hold him, like, okay, maybe he'll come back later. Maybe there'll be a bigger kill. I don't know. So Christopher is telling his parents about his breakthrough in therapy, and his dad is into the idea that they might be able to reopen the case if Chris can remember any details about his kidnapper. Because I really thought they'd be like, "Listen, son, let it die. Like we're all trying to move on and stuff like that." But he's actually on his side. He's like, let's look into this, right? As he is researching into this, he begins to like find disturbing practices and unexplained disappearances in Ashdown. Some talk about this weird doctor who did these experiments with animals, and then these kid disappearances. Like it kind of doesn't really come back around, but or no, it does, but like it doesn't really explain it further right at that moment. You're like,
No.
for a long time, I was like, what did that have to do with anything? Like, it was just kind of weird. Also, it's worth mentioning the acting thus far.
pretty good.
kind of like sticks out as like actually being really decent.
Like even the guy who wrote frickin' Cupid is giving a great performance.
And him specifically, I was like, okay, him as our main character, if he wrote Cupid, there's no way this guy can pull through. He's doing it. He is believable. He is not too much, not too little. He is actually really working for me.
And you guys know me. There's usually a character that like stands out that like really bugs me. That's just like something that I do. Not in this movie.
I wanted him to bug me, and he couldn't.
Yes.
I tried, and it couldn't happen.
There was not a character in this entire movie that like stood out.
Honestly, every actor really did their job,
Yeah,
which
it
is
was
just
great.
not to be expected for movies we watch for the podcast, nor have like, we're supposed to be technically B budget, So anyway, I guess B stands for budget. Whatever. Point is, now moving forward, a police officer.
Does it stand for budget?
Yeah, it's like B movie, budget movie,
I
right?
thought it was bad movie.
It could be. I could be wrong. I don't know. So a police officer shows up at Chris's house saying there are some shocking similarities between the latest murders and the 100 Acre Massacre, which again, this is one of the only parts of the plot that I kind of am like, what makes you think this guy did it just because he's the only survivor of this massacre? Like, what about him leads you to believe he's a psychopathic killer that also killed these people? Like, I don't, that kind of stuck out to me.
That plot didn't really work. It just seemed like a way to like make him have more tension.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, they suspect that he's a part of this, right? And it just further like drives that nail in where they're like, like Christopher Robin has a hard life after the events of this thing, right? So you know how I let off some steam after a cop suspects me of massacring people? I go to a club in the middle of the day.
Why not?
There's just this one scene where they have a friend who was going to be throwing a party in that club later that night.
Yeah.
And again, it's just another scene to show how shitty Christopher Robin's life is because he goes with some friends and Kara, who's throwing this rave tonight, says she doesn't want Chris there. She's like, listen, I'm trying to have a good time. People are uncomfortable with him around because of the murders.
This poor guy.
I know, and I did feel for him. It did work, but I'm also like, guys, we get it. Like, people hate Christopher Robin right now because they think he's a murderer. Like,
that scene just
I
felt
understand.
like a setup.
That
Didn't
wouldn't
feel necessary.
It felt like a setup for a club scene later that we will definitely talk about. Yeah. So Chris goes to talk to the one surviving member of those hunters because there was a guy that got shot in the face, right? It did not kill him, right? Yeah. And he can't really speak, so they give him this whiteboard, and he writes on the whiteboard, "You were right." And Chris clings to this hope and asks for everything he knows. And all he writes is, "They did this." And then removes all of the bandages from his face because he's completely wrapped up right now. And he shows his mutilated face that are underneath these bandages. And he looks fucked up. He looks way messed up.
Other than the great prosthetics,
this was bone apple teeth.
One of the worst scenes in the movie.
Why did it happen?
It was so dumb. It didn't really fit. It kind of stopped the movie. The whole like him writing on a whiteboard, "They did this." Was like so corny.
It really felt like something you would see in Blood and Honey 1. And that was some of their older tendencies really peeking through in this movie.
Absolutely.
Because they did this. Takes off bandages. Obviously, you're messed up under all of these bandages and blood. What did you think I would think of this?
And he's laying in a hospital bed, almost dead, and then just stands up perfectly fine and removes his band. That's
crazy. Wildness.
It didn't work. It was very crazy.
Yes, but the effects honestly wonderful.
Like, I'm cool with him showing it off.
His mouth was like covered. He literally couldn't talk. Not just because he was hurt so bad, but because his whole face was fleshy grossness. So from outside of his room, Chris sees that creepy old man who we've seen now was like the guy who was on like the police chatter and stuff like that. He was the guy listening to the radio. Yeah. He recognizes him as the kidnapper from his childhood, right? Who stole his brother. And so he runs out of the room, but he loses him. And so like, okay, well, now in the middle of that, we get this aside scene where Chris's friend Finn, who hasn't really done a lot in the movie thus so far, is home showering and he gets attacked by Owl out of nowhere.
Literally out of nowhere.
And it's kind of a scene that you could argue didn't need to happen, but it was kind of fun.
It was fun.
Owl like attacks him. He gets on top of him and vomits all over his face, causing it to burn and sizzle before Owl stabs 2 taloned fingers into his eye sockets. Like, it was a decent kill, but also why did this need to happen?
It didn't.
There are a couple scenes that are like that, where like, yes, it was entertaining, it was a good kill, it didn't necessarily further the plot. Like, I know Owl is killing people, but whatever. Yeah. So meanwhile, Chris started waiting outside of the hospital to see that suspicious man leave. He follows him home, he sneaks inside, he confronts this man very angry. He like goes upstairs to him, and so and this man tries to calm the situation. He's like, you must have the wrong man, obviously. No. And turns out, like, he's like, okay, I've got to lay it all out for you. So here's our big big exposition dump, right?
Yay, exposition.
This is a crazy turn of events that I could not have guessed in a million years.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And this, again, this actor really delivers a great performance here.
Fantastic performance.
He's another guy that I thought could have really like brought the movie to a halt. And I think the movie only slightly brought to a halt because this exposition scene is a little long.
Yeah.
But beyond that, so here's the story. This man was kidnapping kids for this doctor named Dr. Gallup. Not like a horse, just like Gallup, you know?
Yeah.
And so this man who was doing the questionable experiments that Christopher Robin was researching earlier, so he was experimenting with kids, changing their genetics and combining human and animal DNA.
Yep.
So get this, the animals, Piglet, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and Owl, all of them were children who were kidnapped and experimented on, mixed their DNA with these animals, and now they're these animal-kid hybrids.
Yep.
It's wild.
Absolutely.
And so this man claims he feels a lot of guilt about it. He's like, I couldn't live with what I did, so I went back there to shoot Dr. Gallup, right? And he said, but he'd already killed all of the kids and buried them before he could even get there. He's like shit. So he does kill Dr. Gallup, but apparently they didn't stay dead. He went back to their graves and somehow they came to life. He talks about how he was like, I went through and I thought maybe a man had dug this up, but no, like the earth was turned inside out. Like you don't understand. Cool. They pulled themselves out of the earth.
This monologue was very good.
It fucking worked. It was great.
And it came out of
it.
nowhere.
Sincerely, like one of the greatest performances in the movie. Again, rather lengthy, I would say, but this old man is wonderful. But then at the very end of it, he pulls out this little box with a gun and takes it to his head and, you know, he's gone. And so so that's the end of him. He's done his dues. He's told someone about the story. Maybe they can fix the problem, right? So now friend, the girl from the beginning who like Christopher Robin was trying to be like, don't come around me. You don't deserve this. Her name is Lexi. So she's babysitting a kid and she thinks she hears someone in the house. So the two of them like hide away, and through an RC car with a camera attached to it, they see Winnie the Pooh has entered the chat. Yep. And it's kind of great because like from down on the ground, you see like his legs, and the camera pans up in this like grainy, like not so great camera footage. They see Winnie the Pooh towering over this car, right? And then he like smashes it or something. So he gives chase to these kids just as the police arrive outside, and they tell the cops, "There's this monster inside. He's from the 100 Acre Woods." And this is again, I wrote this scene really just feels like it's meant for monsters to kill more things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because basically, all that happens at the scene is, some of the cops die at the hands of Pooh. Specifically, Pooh rips the arm off of a cop and beats her to death with it.
And then shoves it down her throat.
Just like really adding insult to injury.
Brutal.
Again, it's another one of those things where like, was it a great kill? Yes. Did it need to happen? Not necessarily.
No.
But I still had fun.
But it's still a slasher. That's like what we've come to expect from these guys.
No, this movie has been a blast so far, honestly. Yeah. So Christopher Robin has taken Dr. Gallup's audio recordings with him about his experiments, and he starts to listen to them. And he's mostly talking just about like how he successfully mixed animal and human DNA. What a wonderful breakthrough. And then he's like, but they're turning like vicious. During the listening, it breaks into like this cool animation of like what was happening during the experiments. It was honestly really short though. I was kind of sad. I liked the animation, but they stopped it really fast.
It felt like something that was so good it should have kept coming back.
Yes.
And then never did.
No. So basically in this thing, he's dictating how they were becoming dangerous and unpredictable. Their animal instincts were taking over. And then we see this really corny POV shot of Tigger and Owl racing through the woods saying like the hunt is on. That's another really bad instance of the CG in this movie. Yeah. So Pooh has arrived at Mom and Dad's house.
Poop at Mom and Dad's house.
Winnie the Pooh. He makes his way inside and slams Mom's, like, we're just getting right into the killing here. Winnie the Pooh gets inside. It's nighttime. It's raining outside. He takes the mom and slams her face onto a bunch of knives that were sticking straight up in their dishwasher.
Who would put their knives in like that?
And they
also don't put your knives in the dishwasher.
It's really like a Chekhov's dishwasher full of knives moment, because there's a scene earlier where she looks at the knives. She's like, "Honey, I told you to stop storing the knives like this." And you can literally hear like a little ching. A glint off of the knives in that scene. So yeah, he just
checks off cling.
Chekhov's cling. So he shoves her face onto a bunch of knives, and so like they're sticking straight up, shove it straight into her face. Dad goes to check it out, and then he dies off screen. You don't even see how he dies. You just hear him scream, and he's gone. We can only assume that Winnie the Pooh sees what we can only assume is his old room, because what we've pieced together now is okay. So
Pooh
now
is definitely the brother.
His missing brother Billy must have been turned into Winnie the Pooh, right? Like that's the connection here. It hasn't told us outright, but so he walks into his old bedroom. He sees a picture of himself and he's angry. And then we only get small glimpses of the aftermath of the parents' death, because like Christopher Robin runs in. This is one of the few moments where I'm like, the acting was a little much when he saw his dead parents in front of him. And we just get like quick flashes of like their dead bodies mutilated in front of us. But still, I don't know how I would react if I saw something like that. Probably similarly.
Also same, yeah.
So it's worth mentioning here that there's a scene where Winnie the Pooh walks up to the little sister who we haven't really mentioned before, and we don't see anything else. And we're like, did he kill her? Did she survive? I don't know. What that's going to come back later. So now jump cut to the weird rave that the friend Kara is throwing. Again, it's like, this feels wildly unnecessary. It's a lot of random boobs for no reason.
So many boobs.
Like a lot of nudity all at once. We had absolutely none and then so much thrust in our face.
I mean, I guess raves have a lot of boobs.
Yeah,
but I
it's
thought it was just like a normal club and everybody's boobs are out.
But again, it's another waste of a scene just to let the monsters have a fun time killing people.
Yeah.
So Winnie the Pooh shows up and this is wild. We saw this in the trailer and it still was really cool in the movie.
Crazy.
He throws this bear trap at a lady's head because like he's been carrying this thing around like by a chain the whole movie. It's like his weapon of choice in this movie. And he what?
I like that.
Yeah, I love it.
I like that.
And so he throws it at her head. It chomps around her and he pulls it clean off. And then as it's spinning through the air, he hits it out of the air like it's a baseball. Like
hilarious.
It was honestly really fun.
Yeah.
And then he kills pretty much everyone else in front of like this plastic tarp with some flashing lights behind him.
Yeah.
So you just see that kind of thing where like Pooh swings at people and then like blood splatters onto the tarp in front of them. So I'm like, okay, so they didn't make it. It wasn't a whole thing, right?
No.
So now the few remaining survivors have to deal with Tigger, the supposed craziest of all of them. But we've seen the least of him, right? Like we really haven't seen a lot of him. And he's certainly more talkative than the others. Like he's definitely he's one of the ones that like lives up to my expectation of all the corny one-liners in this movie.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he mostly just like slashes into people a lot with his claws, just maiming them with his paws relentlessly.
Just slash.
And it kind of sucks because I was like, you guys really hyped this guy up to be the craziest dude of this whole thing. And that's all we get. Like Winnie the Pooh is dishing out some crazy, inventive, crazy, unnecessary kills here. And Tigger's just kind of being a tiger and just like I don't know. It didn't work incredibly well for me.
Biggest complaint about him?
Yeah.
He never says TTFN.
No, I was really hoping, like, if you're going to say some crazy, corny shit, please say TTFN. That would be hilarious. But anyway, it's just a bloodbath of Pooh and Tigger going to town on these poor ravers who just cannot escape, right? So Christopher Robin makes an appearance here. Tigger gets a hold of Chris, but Chris shoots him with a gun, which is the gun that he stole from that old man there earlier. But I was like, while it was a gun that was used to do terrible things, where else are you going to get a gun? You kind of need to kill these animals, I guess. But he kills him with a gun once, he shoots him with a gun once, causing Tigger to run away. And I was like, this guy, the craziest one of all of them, he gets shot once and you're just going to, I'm scared. Never mind. It was pretty, I don't know. I didn't like the fact that Tigger was kind of a letdown as far as his kills go. Yeah. And there are so many unnecessary and brutal kills going on in these sequences here where it's like Tigger and Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh all running around this like underground facility where this rave was happening, but the practical effects were insane.
They were so good.
Like, I can't even remember some of the kills that happened here, but like Winnie the Pooh takes out like 3 people in a row and like they are brutal and vicious, like literally something you would see in like Terrifier, which if you know us, we have talked about like how Terrifier has some pretty outlandish, outrageous, gory kills.
The most like mainstream gory movie that's out there.
Exactly. Like it is wild. So now Christopher has made his way outside and so has Pooh with a chainsaw. So now it's time for a showdown in the rain. Brother versus brother here, brother versus brother bear, if you will.
Oh, brother.
So Chris gets a few good swings in before things get crazy. Pooh rams his chainsaw into this car that happened to be next to them, and that somehow makes the chainsaw catch fire.
This doesn't make any sense.
And now he has a fire chainsaw. Does it make sense? No, but
badass.
God damn did
Absolutely.
I love this like fire chainsaw fight.
So cool.
It's one of those things where like this didn't need to happen, but I'm so happy
it's like
that
the
it
reason
did.
we watch Godzilla movies.
Exactly,
right? It's
right?
just badass.
Is it outlandish? Absolutely, but it's so much fun. And that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Like I am here for a fun time with these movies. So Chris is about to get sliced up by Pooh, but they're at the location where Pooh was buried as a kid, right? Where he dug himself out. So now he's distracted by flashbacks. You see a younger version of himself. He's like, this is where it all happened. And Christopher behind him calls out, Billy? And he begins to apologize to him for what happens. He's like, I'm so sorry all of this happened. We looked for you. How could we know? And obviously like, To Christopher Robin's credit, he didn't know. How was he supposed to know?
How was he supposed to
Why
know?
is Pooh mad about this, But so the friend Lexi shows up and she tries to save the day. But Pooh gets a hold of her and threatens to slice her on the chainsaw because he like left it running. And so he's like threatening to push her face right into it. And so instead of that, Christopher gets in there with a quick axe chop to the head. He just takes one big axe and just one solid swing right into the top of his head. And before Winnie the Pooh dies, he gets in one final, oh bother, and then chop right into his skull, and it's a pretty brutal like gonk right into his head. Honestly, like the prosthetic of it makes his head look kind of empty.
Well, they did that on purpose.
Yes,
though.
they have a line about that later.
Well, and it's like a big thing about how Pooh has a small brain,
Right.
And so
that is true.
he
That
has
is
a
really
small
funny.
Brain.
So yeah, but again, like I guess they kind of showcase this with Piglet's death in the beginning, where it's like they can die pretty normally. Like one shotgun shot to the head, one quick axe chop, it will do it in, right? And that's really all it is for them. So yeah, now Lexi and Christopher lumber out of the woods, and they find a police officer who found Chris's missing sister. I thought the relationship between them really made Christopher Robin very likable, but like there wasn't much that was done with this plot point of the sister who went missing for a second.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
What's her name?
What is her name?
Bunny.
Bunny. That's right. She has.
Rabbit.
That's fair. That's fair.
She's
That's their connection.
Probably gonna turn into Rabbit.
To tell you more about this, when he's having a conversation with her, Mom is calling them to like breakfast, and he's like, "Mom's calling you." She's like, "She's not calling me. That's not my name," because she calls her like Ella, I think is her name or something. She's like, "My name is Bunny," and so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's like Rabbit's tie into this movie.
I don't know. It makes sense.
So, but yeah, so now they get together with the police officers. Winnie the Pooh is dead. They found the missing sister. Everything's okay, and then they just start to drive into the distance. Roll credits. I was like, huh? What do you mean? And the end music sucked. I hated the ending music they choose. And also, I was like, what about Tigger and Owl? They're still alive right now. But then a wonderful twist that I wasn't expecting, because like the credits started rolling. The credits are cut by Owl laughing. Owl has placed Pooh's corpse really back in his chair, and he's got his like fucked up, like half split skull that's kind of empty.
It looked good.
It looked really good. I loved it. And Owl is talking about how he says that his power is in their friendship. I was like, what are you talking about? And he says he'll bring them back. And he has Piglet's dead body there too, with his like completely missing head. And we see the dead bodies of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet begin to slowly regenerate.
Yeah, man.
So like Derek was right when he called that shot right when Piglet died. It's like these animals are gonna come back. They cannot stay dead. So like they didn't actually finish it. So yeah, then the real credits roll, and like wowee. I was not expecting the turns this movie took.
No, dude.
Quite a departure from the first one.
At least 24 kills.
A lot.
At least.
Yes. I mean, like we were joking because like as we were watching the credits, it has to credit every individual raver, and so it says just raver.
Something that did bug me about that scene specifically, though, is like they had shots of all of them dead, but they were just like laying there as normal people.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it was such a bloodbath, you'd imagine some of them would be split in half. They'd be missing part of their face. Like for their practical effects to go so crazy, sometimes it was weird for that scene to just be a bunch of people lying on the ground.
And another thing to get into before we get into our expectations is 90% of this was practical, but all of the blood splatters and a bunch of the blood on the ground was all that like bad After Effects CGI.
Like,
it really took me out of the movie.
Like, would it really have killed them to just use like buckets of fake blood? Like, I feel like that would have been easy. Clearly, they had the money.
Yeah,
because they had incredible effects. But just like sometimes they opted to go the CG route and it didn't work. Like, it just was worse.
There's even a scene. After the kid and his dad who are bird watching, the owl drops his legs into the water.
I forgot about that.
And there's a scene where the leg is like going past the camera.
You can see the inside of it, the meat of the leg, right?
Yeah, and it's like CG overexposed on top of the leg, and it's like moving all around.
Exactly. I'm like, you have the prosthetic leg. Why did you need to CG over the hole? Like, what did you miss?
I don't know.
And it was just so choppy and moving around. It was bad.
It felt intentional.
Yes.
Like, it felt like they were like, no, we have to keep this a B movie.
Yes. Because that was one of the few moments that I was like, this is definitely a B movie, and I forget that sometimes because it's been pretty good. Yeah. So shall we discuss our expectations here? So I said better effects and higher production value, and wowee, they really put that Blood and Honey 1 money to good use. This didn't feel much like a B movie at all, really.
Yeah. Still B movie, just slightly crazier? Not at all. This movie lost its B movie status pretty early on.
Totally. I said still no good. I'll say it. I was dead wrong about this one. Yeah, it definitely came out of the woodworks and shocked me in many, many ways.
For sure. Gory as hell. It was, but then all that fake CG gore, which was hokey and just took me out of it.
Yeah, no, that definitely tracks. I also said, I lost my notes for a second. I'll miss the original Winnie the Pooh mask, and I weirdly found myself missing Pooh 1 a lot in this one.
Me too.
The new grislier mask looked a bit too much like Tigger at times. Actually, there were a couple scenes where I thought it was Tigger and it was actually just Pooh.
I did the same thing.
And then there's, again, like I mentioned, there's something even creepier about the cuter mask in the first one and making that spooky. It's the same reason why Five Nights at Freddy's is so creepy, right? Because the animatronics look friendly and then they're spooky.
Yeah. Oh, right.
It's your turn.
Barely related to the first movie. The way they retconned retconned.
Retconned.
The way
They were retconned.
the way they retconned the first movie was amazing. I loved it.
Absolutely, yes. I said the animals will have horrible one-liners. Really not as much as I thought, though they definitely spoke a lot more, namely Owl and Tigger. And I did love the, oh, bother. Oh, bother. I did love that little scene there. That was pretty funny, but not as much as I thought.
Stupid ways to connect to the Pooh universe. Not really, no. During the end credits, they had like the comic book style graphic novel of like
Yes.
the other creatures like
Right.
flying around them, but that's it.
I said bigger budget. I think this is my last one. Bigger budget cannot help a terrible script. And they really blew me away with the direction this one went. I was not expecting them to retcon the whole first movie and then go the route of kids turned into monsters. This movie was a welcome sight in comparison to like Blood and Honey 1. Like, wow.
A ridiculous way to give Pooh people to kill. I mean, the club was really like the only scene I felt like was out of place, but it was just kind of a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Nothing was really too ridiculous.
No, absolutely not.
Except for the one where the kid and his dad, that didn't make any sense. It
was
didn't
just
really
funny,
connect
though.
them. It was just fun.
So surprises now, shall we?
Yeah.
The effects. Holy shit, the effects. These practical effects with the gore were incredibly impressive and just surprising. Honestly, like I mentioned, some gore almost on par with that of Terrifier, which like really pushes that envelope. Just like you said, like this is probably the goriest thing we've watched for the podcast.
Absolutely.
I said on that note, when they opted to use CGI instead of practical is what really took this movie down a notch. Those effects were noticeably bad, and really the one blaring thing that reminded me this was an indie film. But like practical always wins, and that's what I have to say about that. Absolutely. I said they made the first movie its own movie in this world, and that was kind of hilarious and a great way for them to go in a new direction now that they've got their footing and aren't just relying on the shock factor of horror Winnie the Pooh. Right? They've really doubled down and like went
They
back to
decided
work
to make real movies.
Yeah, exactly, which I love. And I love that fact because like they could easily just milk the like horror Winnie the Pooh forever, right? But I love the fact that they did not do that.
Me too.
I was surprised by the plot twist of Winnie the Pooh actually being Christopher's brother and he was turned into a bear monster. That was certainly a
Pretty fun.
surprise, and I'm not mad about it. Is it crazy? Absolutely. But did I love it? Yeah, it was kind of fun. And then my final surprise was nearly all of the acting was actually pretty good and believable. Not something
man.
you see in movies like this. I'll say it kind of makes me eager for the rest of the Poohniverse.
For real though. For me, it was fun, like really fun. Like
Very
I
fun.
just had a good time.
Totally.
There weren't really any bad performances. The CGI gore was so bad and really didn't need to be there, but whatever. How brutal some of the kills were.
Totally.
Like, insanely brutal.
Like way further than we were expecting. We got that right out the gate.
Absolutely. And then how underwhelming Tigger was. Like I wanted
Such a
more
disappointment.
Tigger.
So sad.
And then that plot twist.
yes, just incredible. So verdict time.
Yeah, so I struggled with this a little. I told you a little bit about this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to give this a verdict because I felt like it wasn't podcastable.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it is higher than our usual, right? It's sitting at a
is.
48%.
It is.
And this is a special case because we watched the first one and that was so revered, right?
And I think there is something to be said about that. Like, it is a higher rated movie, which means we are going to enjoy it more.
Right,
But
so-
that hasn't always been the case.
No, absolutely not.
So, anyway,
But
on
yeah.
that note, what was your verdict?
On that note, I'm sitting here like it should be no surprise. I'm certified horrible, guys. Like I'll admit it, I came into this one with pretty low expectations. Even though this is higher than our usual at 48%, I was not expecting to be met with this much entertainment with Blood and Honey 2. The gore worked, the characters were believable, it was outrageous and ridiculous at times. It was fun. I cowered away from some of the kills. There were a couple moments.
Yeah, there were
like,
revolting moments.
There's a scene where like Tigger plucks a girl's eyes out and he's playing with them on his talon fingers, then he like eats them off.
That
Like,
was Owl.
It was Owl, that's right. But like there are some scenes where like I literally was like, oh no, I can't watch this. Like scenes where people get stabbed in the eye and things. Like it has everything you need for a fun horror evening. So I say run to the 100 Acre Wood to catch this batshit, blood-soaked, monster-filled gem. Like
Absolutely.
wow.
Blood and Honey 2 barely counted for our podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm giving it a certified horrible as well. This movie was so close to being absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's like just the CGI gore
Yeah.
is the only reason this
Really?
isn't like
That's-
a 5-star.
That's
movie
what brought it down
right?
for me too.
The movie was so close to being fantastic. Really, the only thing holding it back was the slightly B-movie effects and dialogue, which even wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
The kills were fun. The story was surprisingly fun and had a good twist. Plus, the retcon of the original movie basically made this entire movie worth watching. 3.5 tubs of honey.
Oh, geez, 3.5 tubs of honey. I'm gonna say I don't know. I might be just because I'm on such a high and I love fun horror movies. I'm sitting at 4 tubs of honey right now. That's kind of where I'm sitting right now.
I kind of rocked back and forth between 3.5 and 4 the whole time we were talking, but I think 3.5 is where I'm at. Just because I feel like they were a little lazy. I'm a little disappointed. They had the money.
There were definitely some corners that were cut,
and they cut some corners where they really had something special, and I feel like it was so close to that.
But honestly, keep the Pooh-universe coming. I'm excited to see Bambi,
absolutely.
The Reckoning, and the Peter Pan story, the Pinocchio one. Like, we'll see if they're bad enough for this podcast. We'll watch them. Maybe even not. Maybe we just like do some specials for Pooh-universe movies because I think they'd be pretty fun.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the trivia now.
Up,
Yes,
Triv?
it is me, Count Trivia. Did you know that I am both of your brothers? Yes, I was taken from you as a child and turned into a bat boy. That is me. It's been so long and I missed you so much.
Wait, okay, you're both of our brothers.
I am both of your brothers,
So are
yes.
you? I have a question though.
Okay.
Are you both of my brothers? Meaning you're 2 of my brothers at once?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
We
that's-
just talk in perfect unison. Absolutely.
Incredible.
Do you want your trivia now, please? Thank you for that. I'm going to take it out of Derek's mouth now. So this will be the first time that Tigger did appear since he was in the public domain on January 1st of 2024. He did not resemble the Disney version due to copyright.
Can we real quick talk about Tigger's tail?
It looked bad.
They didn't give him a tail. They CGI'd on him a tail, and it looked so bad. Like I wanted to kill where he like bounced on someone.
Yes, honestly, if you're gonna CG the tail, why not do the fun bouncy thing? He mostly just pounced everywhere. But yeah, so Tigger as a character specifically only came within the public domain the beginning of this year, 2024. So this is his first appearance in something that is not Disney related like that. The movie starts out with this quote, and it says, "You can't stay in your corner of the forest waiting for others to come to you. You have to go to them sometimes." And that is attributed to Winnie the Pooh in the opening credits, but it's based on an actual line from the book, The House at Pooh Corner by A.A. Milne, released in 1928. That book introduced Tigger for the first time, which is kind of cute. However, in the book, the line is said by Rabbit to Eeyore. It wasn't a line from Winnie the Pooh himself. One of the hunters in the 100 Acre Woods is called Shepherd. He shares his name with the last name of Ernest Shepherd, the illustrator of the original Winnie the Pooh books. And then along more like naming conventions, it is said that Christopher Robin's parents were called Alan and Daphne. Those were also the same names of the parents of the real Christopher Robin Milne, whose parents were Alexander Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh, and Dorothy Daphne de Selincourt. Wow, fancy names there. But that's all we got for Blood and Honey, guys. That's honestly a really fun time. I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff from them. Like they really surprised me, really shocked me in this one. Join us next week, please. We're going to be watching the movie The Gate from 1987. So let's tell you a little bit about The Gate. The synopsis here is: kids left home alone accidentally unleash a horde of malevolent demons from a mysterious hole in their suburban backyard. So that'll be pretty fun. So yeah, thank you for joining us for all of this stuff.
Sorry about all the Pooh jokes.
Sorry about all the Pooh jokes. I'm really sorry, but we can't let you go without a little bit of a Garfield horror scope for this week. We got a pretty short one. We're talking 3 panels long.
Can we talk about something real quick for Garfield?
Let's talk about something. What's up?
There's a lot of rumors going around that he's done.
That Jim Davis is done?
Yeah.
No.
So like if you go through the last like 30 comics, he's been kind of settling, putting in some weird things.
Really?
Like, remember those really depressed comics?
That's
a while
right.
ago?
Yes.
And then like that one, the really nice one the other day.
Yeah. Maybe he's kind of getting in the last
I think
couple.
Jim Davis is like on his way out.
Yeah.
Like not death, but I think he's retired.
Like getting out of here. He's got a couple good ones to go through here. So basically, I'll read to you exactly what it says because it's short enough. 3 panels. First panel, Garfield says, "Great news." Second panel, "I made it through my first day of my diet." Third panel, "This calls for a celebration," throwing a big old cake right in his mouth.
And you know what? This one doesn't really need horror scope because celebrate your days.
Celebrate your days.
Celebrate your wins.
You
Like
have wins, big or small.
you know, even if you're on a diet and you made it through, celebrate a little bit.
Absolutely.
You deserve it.
You deserve a celebration. So that's our podcast for you. That's our horrible stick there. If you enjoy what we've done here, please, you can see more of us and like keep up with all of our stuff here on our social medias. We are on Instagram at @that_was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and TikTok at That Was Horrible. I don't know. You're joking, but I kind of like that. It's kind of fun. We are on all of those places. You can find us doing all of our hilarious bits. Keep up with what we are up to, and we will continue doing this for you.
I'll see you on the flip flop.
We'll see you on the flip flop. So thank you as always for joining us. Thank you for journeying with us to the 100 Acre Woods.
Thanks for Pooh.
As always, Garfield be with you. Stay spooky.
Goodbye.